Hi fantasy managers, welcome to FPL Team Talk. In this video I'm going to go through my free hit side for game week 18. We'll talk a little bit at the start about why you should or shouldn't free hit, the pros and cons. Then we'll take a look at the side that I've put together, and at the end we'll have a look at the different options that are available. So if you enjoy these sort of videos, please give it a like, don't forget to subscribe, and in the meantime let's take a look. So just a quick word on then if you should or shouldn't free hit, and I know it's such a cliche, but it is going to be team dependent. If like me you were on the edge a few weeks ago of whether to free hit or not, with the absence of Mbeumo, of Haaland being out, a lot of those players are now being taken out of my side, and it just is not the benefit now to free hit because the fixtures don't look great in my opinion. With Arsenal playing Liverpool, that takes a lot of those players out of the equation for me that otherwise I would pick. However, if you do hold a lot of those players, you might feel that actually it's an opportunity to put some differentials in and free hit. You also might have a few issues in your side that you think short term can be solved by free hitting. That is absolutely fine, but please do remember that you're going to inherit this side back in game week 19, so those issues might not go away, and because of the short turnaround, those injuries are going to have to only last a few days to keep them out. Suspensions you will know about, of course. So all that said, this is the side I put together. Some of these players are more nailed than others, and we'll go through options at the end. But I'm starting off with Dubravka in goal. I think his fixture away at Luton looks about as good as they can get. He's only played 3 games. He's kept the 1 clean sheet, has conceded 7 goals in the others 2. But overall, Newcastle's defence, the 5th best statistically in the division, looks really good. Luton is a bit of a way. They have found a way to scored against Bournemouth, and I will timestamp this. This is on Saturday afternoon that I'm recording this after all the fixtures are finished, so there's still some games to play on Sunday, so injuries or suspensions that happen there may affect who's in this side. But Luton have found a way to score against Arsenal and Man City, so there's nothing to say they can't do the same against Newcastle. But Dubravka looks the obvious choice for me. I'm happy to put him in. That Newcastle defence I will back. Defensively then, I'm going to play 3 across the back. Pedro Porro would be my first choice. Difficult game, I think, at home to Everton. Everton just been brilliant lately, going forward and defensively. Porro, though, he just offers just unbelievable value moving forward. Over the course of the season, his expected goal involvement is really good at 0.37. And in the last 3 games, it's going at 0.64. Haven't been all easy games in the last 3 games either. 10 shots as well in the last 3 games. So he's outperforming a lot of midfielders in terms of his output attacking wise. He just looks really good. I'm happy to play him, I think, pretty much against everyone at the moment. And Pedro Porro comes in at home to Everton. I think even though that Everton defence has been really good, that Tottenham attack is equally as good, and they can still create chances and score goals against Everton. Moving further into the side then, we have Pau Torres. I've actually doubled up on that Villa defence. They've got the best fixture at home to Sheffield United, arguably for the week. And Sheffield United just struggling so much to score goals, create opportunities, one of the worst expected goals chances created in the league. So to double up on that Villa defence, I'm happy to do so. The 2 nailed players are Konsa and Pau Torres. I would much prefer to have maybe Digne in there in this side, because I think he's going to be a much more attacking threat. But he is suspended for game week 17, so no doubt he's going to be replaced by Moreno. Now, does he get his place back for 19? I think it's just a question mark. I would expect him to, but would you take the chance on a free hit? That's a problem. And I do want 3 Villa players in this side, so I don't know if I want to take the risk whether it's Moreno or Digne. If you think it's going to be Digne, I think he's a much better option. Same goes as well. You got Carlos, but does Konsa play at fullback, or does Cash come in? If Cash was coming in, I would play him and Digne every day of the week. But for certainty, I've got to have Pau Torres and Konsa. So that makes up my back line. So I'm going to play 1, obviously the goalkeeper, 3 across the back. Let's move it into midfield. Richarlison, he's someone I brought into my own FPL side recently. He looks absolutely nailed up front. Son's moved off to the left. He scored 3 goals in the last 2 games. And he's just less than 2% owned. He is such a good differential at this moment in time, and expecting that figure to go up. But statistically, he just looks brilliant. Most of his threat as well is in scoring goals. And that as a midfielder, it just feels like an FPL gift at the moment. Even when Son goes away, I think he's a good longer term option as well when Son disappears the Asian Cup. So Richarlison comes in for me, and I think we have to go with Son as well. With this free hit side, money isn't a huge issue, so I can spread those funds whoever I want, and Son's got to be in there. On penalties, we think that Richarlison wasn't on the pitch. I think 90% sure he is going to have them, but we've got Richarlison anyway, so it might be better off if hoping that Richarlison takes them than Son, because he's got much lower ownership. But he's been brilliant. I'm not going to go through Son, why he's just in there. Anthony Gordon, he played 84 minutes at the weekend. He has a flag, but I'm going to assume he's okay for now. His statistics have been brilliant. He looks absolutely nailed in that Newcastle side. And all the players that look a bit sort of fatigued, he seems to just look as good as he always has done all season. Value for money is brilliant, but that's not a huge issue in his side. I think with his goal threat, playing as forward as he does, he got another assist at the weekend. He's on a really good roll. I think you have to have him in. Even though the fixture doesn't look the easiest, I think being on penalties and being as good as he is and as good as Arsenal are, I think I'd have to play him. So they've got Liverpool away. Saka has to come in. And the same with Salah, I think. Even though it's a tough fixture with Arsenal, I think I just have to play him. His statistics are just so good. And any goals that they score, you would expect Arsenal to score, I think, and Liverpool to score. And if they do, Salah and Saka would be a part of that. So they make up my midfield. So the fixtures there look pretty good across the board. Most of my players are playing at home. Exception maybe of Gordon away at Luton, which I don't mind because Dubravka's there as well, and Saka away at Liverpool. Difficult fixture. Up front then we're playing 3-5-2. I would have Dominic Solanke. He looks really good. Whether he'll keep his goal at the weekend, I don't know. I'll put it on there for now. Away at Forest, who are struggling. Don't think this will be an easy game for Bournemouth, but their form has been so good so recently, and his underlying stats are just fantastic, Dominic Solanke. And what I like about it as well, 0.67 is up there with the best of him, but 0.61 is just purely goals. So he's just dealing in goals, which is what we want and where you get the points. Away at Forest, do think there's goals there for Bournemouth, but don't think that'll be an easy game. And finally, the one player that is nailed, I think, for Aston Villa is up front, is Ollie Watkins. He has to come in. His stats look brilliant. Home to Sheffield United, I don't think there's a better fixture this weekend than that. So that completes the side, and that's how I'd line up in a 3-5-2 formation. Other options is that Diaby. Now, if Diaby I thought was going to start, or Bailey was going to start, I think one of those would come in. So I'd possibly drop Konza and then bring in Diaby into midfield instead of possibly Saka, who's got the one that would possibly come out. And then Konza could go to someone like a Lascelles or someone like that, maybe a Newcastle defender with Luton away. But then you are doubling up on that Luton fixture with Newcastle. So you might not want to do that. If I thought Digne, as we talked about, or Cash were going to start, they come in straight away for Konza and Pau Torres, covering the Villa defence, and they're just far more attacking. The other one that you could consider is, instead of Solanke, possibly Isak, if Isak's going to play. But there's the threat now that Wilson's back. Who gets more minutes out of those two? If I knew Wilson was starting, or Isak, again, I think they would come in. I would much prefer possibly them than, again, Saka, or take Saka out of that side. Finally, as a bit of a punt, I do quite like this. They're at home to Burnley, and we've not looked at them. Fulham, with Jimenez injured, Vinicius will play up front. Forget the fact that he's only 4.6. Up front at home to Burnley, one of the worst defences in the league. Fulham scoring quite a lot of goals, except today when they were down to 10 men. At home especially, they put 10 in the last two games. Put them against the weakest defence possibly. Vinicius looks great. So again, with such low ownership as well, could he come in up front instead of maybe Saka in that midfield? Or if you wanted to take Gordon out, you could do that. And in terms of the bench, I would be looking at possibly Livramento as an option, Robertson, Vinicius, and then Neto. But I would expect this front first 11 to start. And the money, just like I said, isn't an option. You take the likes of Haaland out, and we have just so much money to play with. If you wanted, you could even stretch to someone like a Trent, or downgrading Saka to someone in midfield, and then upgrading someone like Konsa or Robinson. There's that flexibility to do it. Captaincy, I think I don't like going against someone who isn't taking penalties, but Watkins just stands out as a favourite. I'm not sure. The other option possibly would Son, but I do think Everton are a good defensive side. Solanke away at Forest, but I think Forest just fighting so hard for their own future status in the Premiership and their manager. I'm not sure that's going to be a high scoring or an easy game for Bournemouth. So Watkins, I think, would get the nod. But there's not a lot in it. If you decided you wanted Salah on pens at home to Arsenal, I wouldn't put up too much of an argument, but would say they're playing against the best defence, so I'm not sure I would go there. So for me, Watkins just about gets it, but not by a lot. That's it for this one then, guys. Let me know if you are free hitting in game week 18 and if you would change any of the players that I've selected. Is there anyone obvious that you think I have overlooked? In the meantime, business as normal. We'll carry on with a team selection video and a watch list coming out next week. So in the meantime, take care, good luck, speak to you soon.